You found a place to belong here in the circle of friends. I'm Missy, and I am with Joanne and Carol today.
Good
Morning.
morning.
Good morning.
Great to be here with you guys.
Oh, it's always fun to be here. I love it. Well, today we're going to switch gears a little bit, and we are going to go into the Lored principle of honesty. And as we read through this, if you would like to have a copy of this very principle, you can go to lored.org. That's LARED.org. And you can have this principle in your own hands. So as we read through it, listen carefully to the words because there is reason for principles. And before we read this, I do want to mention just briefly that it is important for us to have principles because there is the grace of God that gives us freedom from sin and makes life bearable. Really, is what it comes down to. But when we get saved, that guarantees us a wonderful forever after. But we have 70 or 80 years to live here on earth, and when we can learn to apply principles to the today life, it helps our life here on earth. It helps us to get along with others. It helps us to have peace while we're here, because life should not be hard here. And if we don't have principles to govern us, life can be very hard here. Today we're going to be studying the principle of honesty. And let's face it, if you are a dishonest person, there will be consequences in today's world for your dishonesty, because sooner or later things catch up with you. And so honesty is a wonderful principle to apply to your life, and it affects everybody. And it's so interesting that as a parent, we can teach our children to don't lie. But then when the children watch the parents, sometimes the truth is stretched and the child can see, well, that wasn't really the truth, so that would make it a lie. So where is honesty and where do you live with honesty? Is honesty something that you live every day that your children can see, or is your talk mightier than your way of life? So
I think that's so true, Joanne. And it's not like honesty isn't something that, well, I decided to do that one time. And that I made that decision to be honest. It's something we choose every day and multiple times
it's a way of life.
day. It is a way of life. And you might be tempted to be dishonest tomorrow when you chose to be honest today, or maybe you were dishonest today, but you can choose honesty tomorrow. So it's not a one and done. It's an ongoing choice to be honest every day and throughout the day.
So true.
We continue to choose honesty and to walk in that way of living. I saw a funny cartoon on Facebook today, and it says, because we're talking about transformation, really, that we want to continue in this honesty, but it's a church group sitting around a table, and it says, we're hoping you'll lead us on a journey of transformation without requiring any real changes. And I thought that was funny and so true. Like, it's like, oh, please, we don't like to change. But that is what growing with God, that process of sanctification, that's a big word that we use in the church and in Christianity, is sanctification is that we are constantly walking with God, and He is constantly transforming us, sanctifying us.
Well, I think too that when you study the principles and you apply them to your life, that's part of renewing your mind. And that's Scripture tells us that we are transformed by the renewing of our mind. And so we obviously need transformation in our world. I mean, for ourselves, we need transformation. We live in a world where we have to get along with others. I guess you don't have to if you don't want to, but I'd rather have some peace. I'm big on several things, as you've noticed. I like to sleep and I enjoy peace. So I guess in my own life, I have struggled without peace at times, to the point that I couldn't sleep. And so those are things that are very important to me. I just, life is just so much easier if you apply principles, if you apply the godly principles to your life today. And it's like I said, I can be saved and go to heaven and have a wonderful eternity, but I have to deal with the first 80 years first. And so to get along with others and to have peace for myself, applying the principles to my life makes a big difference. And so,
I often think if you don't live by principles, which come straight from Proverbs and really from God's Word telling us how to live, if we don't live like that, then how do we have a voice in the world? You know, what makes us different, or why would someone listen to us if we aren't honest? Like, I'm not an honest person. Are you going to believe anything I tell you? Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, our integrity and how we live is really, really important for the sake of the
It is.
kingdom.
And I think we probably all know people that we already know that what they're saying is probably not true.
Yeah.
You know, they have built a reputation where, well, they might be telling the truth, but you really can't, you know, don't bet on it.
You can't rely on them.
You can't rely on it.
Yeah.
So it's like you said, Carol, honesty is a choice every day. And it is a way of life. It's a choice that I make to live as an honest person. Do I ever blow it? Unfortunately, I probably do. But that is not who I want to be, because I know that is not pleasing to God. I want to please my Father. And I want my Father's blessing on my life. So I'm thankful for grace. I am thankful that God has grace towards me. But in building my relationship with my Father, I also want to live by his principles. So today we're looking at the principle of honesty. And again, this comes from Lared. It was actually written by my father. And when I read these, I hear my father speaking to me. So, all right. Lies will get any man into trouble, but honesty is its own defense. It's found in Proverbs 12:3. Webster defines honesty as fair and truthful and being free from deceit. Basically, that describes a person who will not lie, cheat, or steal. This includes manipulation or misleading statements with the intent to deceive. That is why the proverb says, lies will get us in trouble. The first lie was truth spoken in the intent to deceive in Genesis 3:4 and 5. Honesty is not just truth, but truthfulness, which includes the intent of that truth. That is why Webster says honesty is genuine, frank, and open. Open meaning transparent.
Honesty is the core value of character. It is the stabilizer or governor of the soul. It is its own defense. We cannot separate truth and honesty from God. Honesty is more than truth. It deals with motives and intents. It is a voice within us that suggests truth before we lie. Our founders understood this when they formed our Constitution. Swearing under oath meant to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. They knew that honesty was more than truth. It meant the whole truth of the matter. Honesty is probably the greatest of all human values. Honesty gives us great personal benefits and even greater community and national rewards.
Let's take a look at what a society would be like if everyone were honest. Number one, we would not need to lock our doors or have walls or fences around our businesses. Number two, our police force would diminish because most of our crime comes from lying, stealing, and cheating. Number three, our divorce rate would decrease because we would solve our problems by not cheating. Number four, illegal drugs could be abolished and crime would almost be unheard of. Number five, security guards could be eliminated. We would practice do unto others as we would have them do unto us. Number six, many attorneys would have to look for other work because our word would be our bond for most transactions. Number seven, taxes could be 10% flat, the Bible standard. Number eight, businesses could run with less management because employees would be honest about their jobs.
There are many other benefits that such an open society would produce, which is what freedom is all about. It would be life in the right form. Yes, there would be room for different opinions and arguments, and laws would have to be there for the ignorant and arrogant. There would be violations of law, but they would not be from evil intentions or to deceive. We would still have misunderstandings and make mistakes, but not intentionally. We would do our best and take responsibility for the rest.
Part of the reason governments don't mind some evil and corruption is because the management of sin is good for the economy. To them, crime creates work for the attorneys, courts, locksmiths, surveillance systems, security guards, and a ton of other things. To some, this is an opportunity to create jobs and to raise taxes to fight crime. There will always be some corruption, but too much of it will eventually reduce our economy down to third world levels.
Isn't it interesting that we can put a man on the moon and win world wars, but we can't stop dishonesty? It all comes back to honesty starting from the top. If we were to start spending tax dollars to educate our society on the value of honesty and enforce the laws with quick, stiff penalties for dishonesty, we could create a manageable society with a 10% flat tax and have money left over for infrastructures. Maybe we should consider Proverbs 20:30. Punishment that hurts chases evil from the heart.
In order to create an honest society, we must start at home, teaching our children to be honest and to respect law and authority. They must see and experience the value of honesty for themselves. Perhaps we should also practice Proverbs 25:5. When you remove corrupt men from the king's court, his reign will be just and fair. Honesty is of God. It is the right way to build a righteous and fair society. I'm going to read here also the thoughts to ponder. Corruption is a fatal disease that can be cured only by honesty.
Wow, if we don't have that as a goal or a level of expectation, first of all in ourselves and of others, I mean, we can just look around and see where we've fallen with that, fallen short of that. And when we do that, and the culture and the climate that creates, I mean, it's just an ongoing process. But you almost have to back it all the way up and start at the foundation. And the fact that we have to teach that honesty is a principle from God's word, and that you can't separate honesty from God, and that's where we all need to be. I mean, that's a little startling to me. I mean, I see it, I understand it, but it's also like, wow. But I was going to say how far we've come, but sin has been around and dishonesty has been around forever. So, but it does make you stop and think, how honest am I?
Well, I like
do
this
do that?
where it says that it describes a person that will not lie, cheat, or steal. Those are three things that my father drilled into us. I mean, he always said, if you can lie, you're capable of anything. And he just would not stand for a lie. I mean, there was punishment for a lie. You just
said
don't lie.
earlier this week, Joanne, about there's numerous places in the Word where it gives lists of things that we would say, oh, that's awful, but lying is right in with it.
Absolutely.
So it's a terrible sin against God, who is truth. He is truth. It's not that he tells the truth, it's that he is truth. That's the essence of who he is. That's who he is, his character, his being, all of that. So when we lie, we are in total opposition of who God is and who is the father of lies. So we've not only, leaned away from God or walked away from God, but we've jumped onto the other camp entirely. We're totally in the other realm now when we're lying.
That gets heavy.
That gets heavy. That's pretty serious.
That does. That
Now
gets
suddenly,
pretty heavy.
You're stopping to think, okay, and how can you be a little bit honest?
Yeah.
Here, you want my water?
Yeah, right.
I made an illustration earlier. You have a thing of water, but if I told you I put one little drop of horse manure in it, but you could still drink it, it's contaminated. You don't want it. I mean, truth is truth. Honesty is honesty. You can't have just a little bit of honesty. It's true or it's not true. It's honest or it's not honest.
And I love, that it says honesty is its own defense. That's what the proverb says, that when you are honest, even if someone else is telling a lie, eventually I think it'll come out that, you hear two sides, there's two sides to every story or however many, but if you are being honest and sometimes somebody else is spinning a web, that honesty is its own defense. I love the way it says that.
Yeah. It's interesting. I was in a conflict at work the other day. I hate confrontation, just not my bag at all. And God's grown me a lot in that area, but it was almost a situation where he said, she said, and all I could say is, I'm telling you what I said, what I did, and why I said what I did, and just this is it. And there was some pushback and argument against that towards me. But you know what? I walked out of the room feeling okay. I didn't have to do anything more than that, than just say, this is, I'm honestly sharing with you where I was at with that. I don't need anything else from you. I'm just going to say it this way. And it's your choice to do whatever you want with it. And I agree. I have made mistakes, but in what you're saying, that is not true. This is what's true. And I could walk away with a whole lot of peace. Even looking back at the incident, I was kind of shaky because I don't like confrontation, but I was at total peace with the whole situation and no hard feelings, truly and honestly, towards this person who did not believe me and in essence told me I was lying because they heard something from someone else, which didn't make any sense to me. I'm like, you may have heard that from them, but I was there. I did it. I'm telling you what I did. But anyway, so honesty is its own defense. You don't need anything more than that. And when you walk in that honesty, you don't have to come up with any excuses. You don't have to come up with any stories or remember stories you've told.
That's right. You don't have to remember the lie you told to the next person.
You're good to go, man.
Just easier.
You can live in peace and you can walk away from something and not. I didn't have to defend myself. You know what I mean? I didn't have to. There's nothing I'm looking for in result of that confrontation. I spoke the truth, and I walked away. If we don't do that, I could see it happening another way. If that person had been telling the truth about me and I was defensive and I could lie and say, no, I didn't do that. I don't know. Well, it could have escalated for me and maybe even for them, but I would have walked away with guilt, regret, trying to cover up all those things. But when you're honest.
Again, it's God's way is easier.
Yeah, it is.
It's easier.
It's just easier all the way around.
We make life hard because we don't want to follow God's principles.
Right. And I'm not trying to say that I do everything right. I'm just saying when you.
I thought you were.
You did, because all our listeners know that Missy does. No, they know too many things about my life, I'm sure, and they go, yeah, she needs the Lord desperately.
We need you all out there to remember we're just three human beings sitting right here.
No,
not without fault.
I appreciate people being honest with me and coming to me and saying, hey, have you thought about this? Or perhaps that wasn't quite the right thing to do. Let's, it's a back and forth thing. But
and I think sometimes, we think we're saying something, but somebody's hearing it differently.
Yes.
And so we have miscommunication, misunderstandings. And so it's better if you can just stay calm and say, okay, is this what you're saying? Give the person a chance to clarify what they're saying before you jump to conclusions that you're misreading something.
Exactly.
There may be more honesty there than you see.
Yes, that's very true, and a very good point.
And I think it's human nature, just our humanness, wants to self-defend first. If there's any kind of confrontation, we're like, whoa, wait. Wait a minute, did I? Did I not? Like, if that's the way my mind usually goes, if there's an accusation or if there's a misunderstanding, it's like, wait, I was right, wasn't I? But it's not about being
right.
In my rightness, but it's what is the truth? The question then becomes, what is the truth in it? And, can I see it could have been taken the wrong way, or could I have done it differently?
Well, and that's where you say there's two sides of it, because honesty and truth is truth no matter what. But how I perceive it and look at a situation may be different from how you perceive it and look at a situation. And remembering that, I think, helps us bring us to the center where the truth is.
And I think it comes down to we all have a story.
Yes.
We all have a background. We all have things we've
filters.
experienced, so we see things differently. And so I think, being able to remember that the other person has a life experience that makes them see it this way. And it's easy to be deceived because of the things that in your past. You see things differently because of things in your past. So you may not see it clearly, because, I have experienced this and it causes me to see this doesn't work or whatever. So we have different experiences. We have different filters, different things, different ways we see things. So, but we'll come back and try to clear this all up when we get back here after the break. So we'll be back here in the Circle of Friends in just a few minutes.
What should I wear? Our boutique at the Village Gift Barn has the answers. Arriving daily, our clothing is a delight. You will enjoy our wide variety and the uniqueness of each style. We offer many accessories to complete any outfit. Your answers can be found in our boutique that is never ordinary. Village Gift Barn, Berlin, Ohio.
Walking in the garden, I hear your voice sing in the breeze, the sweetest melody that I've ever heard. Sitting in your delicious shade, I'm overcome by your amazing grace. You fill my soul, and you walk with me, touch me, and you love me. You hold my heart and
welcome back. We're back here in the Circle of Friends with Missy and Carol, and I'm Joanne. And today we're talking about honesty. And I just thought this was an interesting discussion because what happens is we think we're honest people, but we'll cheat on the time card, you know. We think we're honest people, but, you know, we need pens at home. I think we'll just take a few from the company. They seem to have a lot. Little things
Or
like that.
the company owes me this, so it's okay if I do
Right.
this. Yeah.
Yeah, or I'll be, oh, well, I had a 15-minute break and I'm on Facebook, but yeah, I worked really hard this morning, so I'll take a half hour or an hour on Facebook instead. Or how does that look? How does it work out in our lives, everyday lives? So when we go to work or when we're at home.
Oh, and I think so often of the children at home. I think of parents who want to teach their children honesty, but then aren't honest in all things, and the child sees it. Now, what's that child learning? What's that child seeing? You know, there's just a lot of little things in life that we can claim to be honest on, but not really be honest on.
Yeah. Well, and I think it takes a lot of self-evaluation and honesty with ourselves and looking at ourselves and to know, because you know when something's not right. You know when something's not right. And if you're in an environment, and I've been there before, where there's a little bit of give and take. You can, I worked at one place where, you could get a pop a day. Oh, that's great. Get a pop a day. Well, sometimes I got a pop, sometimes I didn't. Wasn't a big deal to me. But there were some people who got lots of pops a day. And so they finally had to shut that off because it was costing the company more than what they were, and rightly so.
And we have that kind of a thing where, when you're working all day, and we do it with water because we don't want you high on sugar.
Right. Well, that's an even better idea. Yeah.
But what I as an owner, what I don't appreciate is all the bottles of water I throw away every week because somebody took a bottle and
Didn't
drank
drink it
4
all.
swallows out of it and left it sit.
Yeah.
I don't like that. That's not expensive. It doesn't cost me more than a few cents.
Right.
But it's the idea behind it.
Yeah.
If you only need 4 swallows of water, go to the water fountain and get your water. I am doing this as something nice, and then when I have to throw all this water away, I don't appreciate that.
Yeah.
I don't appreciate that. So I am more than happy to give you a free bottle of water. But I want you then to drink it, and I don't want you to take one home every day so that you have it when your next vacation.
All right, ladies. So another question I have is, we chatted about this a little bit, but what about oversharing? Is that honesty? Like if I just say, Joanne, your hair looks terrible today. And I say, well, I'm just being honest. How do we view that in the whole scheme of honesty?
Boy, that's a good question, because I do think that honesty does not mean, I don't think it means saying everything you know about everything.
Well, can we just say it this way? That's your opinion.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
I like my hair the way it is. Thank you.
Your hair looks very
I know,
nice,
I know,
Joanne.
I know. And it's just an example. It's just an example. But is it an opinion or is it honesty?
Boy, that's, well, and
And the reason I say that is because last week I had someone say, I hate those black shirts.
Oh, for work.
For work.
Okay.
And I said, I love those black shirts
Yeah.
for work.
I saw, I have a picture and I printed it out, and it talks about opinion versus fact, and it's two people looking at the same thing, but it's drawn in such a way that on one side it looks like 4 logs, and on the other side it looks like 3.
I've seen
and
that.
it's the way it's drawn, of course. It's kind of an optical illusion. But isn't that the truth of it? Like, what's your perspective and what are you looking at? So, and I'm not, I mean, if Joanne had said to you, what do you think of my hair? then you're a little trickier situation. Do you want to be honest?
I personally don't like
Say,
it.
I personally don't like it. I mean, and there's a lot of things you can do with that without being mean or ugly or any of those
Well,
things.
I would probably say something like, well, it wouldn't look good on me, I don't know what I would say. People don't ask me for my opinion. I wonder why.
Tune in tomorrow for tips on.
Yeah, how to respond with honesty without getting yourself in trouble.
Well, and have you ever asked anybody to tell you the truth about yourself? Like, I want to grow and I want to learn. Can you tell me what I'm blindsided by?
That's really good.
What,
Because we all have those
we all have
places.
we all have those
Yeah,
places.
and the place to do that is go back home and talk to your kids and your spouse.
I don't know if I want to do that.
I've done that, and it's like, oh, ouch. I think, once was enough. I don't think I'll do that.
But I do think those are positive things to do.
They
but
are.
with people that love you
And respect.
but will
Yes.
share with discretion
Yes.
and love
And
in their
study the
hearts.
principle of criticism before you do this, as you understand that there are things that you take in, and you can get something from everything anybody tells you. You can bring, you can draw from that, and again, take it through the filter of God and His Word and what He wants you to glean from that. But the whole subject of honesty, I think the reason it's so important is because it's not a once and done. And I think you said this, Carol. It's not like you can be honest today and dishonest tomorrow. Or maybe you were dishonest today, but you can be honest tomorrow. So it's an ongoing, I'll even call it a discipline, because you have to self-govern yourself in that area, especially if you're in an environment where you're not called into accountability. You got to hold yourself accountable then, right? I mean, that's what I think, because if you don't, and I've been in those situations, if you don't, it's a slippery slope and you can end up doing things. I mean, no sin started out full blown. I mean, Scripture tells us that. You know what I mean? People who have committed heinous acts, a murderer didn't wake up one morning and just say, "Oh, I'm going to go kill somebody." No. That's not how they got there. Or an embezzler, or a thief, or whatever. They didn't just wake up that morning and say, "Oh, I'm going to go out and do this." It was a slippery slope. It started out where they weren't, they weren't held accountable. They didn't govern themselves. They weren't honest about what they were doing, and downhill from there.
Yeah, honesty is something that affects every one of us, and we want to be a good influence to those around us. We want to be a good influence to our children, which means that we have to be honest. It means that if I'm cheating on a time card, or if I'm cheating my boss, or if I'm cheating my neighbor, or whatever, that I become responsible, that I hold myself accountable, and that I personally have to change, and I can only change me. And so, ask yourself the question. If you don't want to ask somebody else, ask yourself the question on a scale of 1 to 10, how honest am I? And at what point am I willing to not be honest? Where will I most likely not be honest? And then do something about it. Change that. It'll make you a better person. It'll make you a better witness for God who loves us. And I'm just delighted that we did this principle today. I think it's a good reminder for all of us. So thank you for joining us here today in the Circle of Friends. We'll be back again tomorrow. So for now, this is Missy, Carol, and Joanne saying goodbye.
Thanks to generous donations, this program is produced by Circle of Friends Ministries. You can write to us at P.O. Box 345, Berlin, Ohio 44610, or contact us at 330-852-0000. You've found a place to belong.